The Guns on Pegs podcast is brought to you by ITAP Group. Hello and welcome to the Guns on Pegs podcast. Afternoon, Chris.
Afternoon, George.
How's it going?
This is weird. We're in person.
I know. Every time we do one in person, we start with, this feels weird.
Well, I didn't get to say me, Chris Horn, like you make me say every time. Anyway, yes, very good. And do you know what? Something happened last week, which really leads into today's guest.
Okay.
I've got to mention very
quickly.
Go on.
The reason we're recording in person is always because we have a particularly exciting special guest. So tell us your story first. And
very quick story, and then I'm going to lead into the guest. I was at Purdy Awards the other day. George Ponsonby comes up to me and says, Chris, have you got a business card? And I was like, no, I haven't had those since COVID, actually. And he's like, that's a shame because I was looking for your details. One of my friends dropped out of one of our Grey Partridge days in January and I couldn't find your number, so I didn't invite you.
Oh, wow.
Is that not the worst news?
I mean, there's a little bit of me that feels sorry for you and a little bit of me that doesn't.
I genuinely think that's the best news I could ever have got in many, many years / ever. And it didn't actually...
It never happened.
Never happened.
It's nice that somebody thought about inviting you on a wild
I did
party.
say thank you so much for your very kind invitation. Anyway.
Fantastic. Okay, well, that's teed it up nicely. I think you should now introduce our guest.
So I'd normally list a whole load of titles and achievements at this point for our guest, but there's kind of too many. So I'll just say a few. Our guest today is patron of the West Sussex County Scouts, an honorary fellow of St Edmund's College, Cambridge. In his younger days, he was a racing driver, but to Guns on Pegs podcast listeners, he'll likely be most familiar as the driving force behind the Grey Partridge project at Peppering Farm on the South Downs. Oh, and by the way, he holds the hereditary office of Earl Marshal, making him responsible for the arrangement of both Queen Elizabeth II's state funeral and the coronation of King Charles III, and is the most senior non-royal peer in the peerage of England. Please stop polishing your coronets and give him a very warm welcome to His Grace, the Duke of Norfolk.
Well, delighted to be here.
It's fantastic to have you here. I'm very excited about it. The first question, though, did he get the mode of address correct?
He certainly did. Interesting you mentioned the Scouts. Anyway,
the first thing, obviously.
I'm always very low-key, so for some reason, it's one of those things which is sort of on my CV, you know, president of the Scouts, but it's not the only thing I do.
Yeah. Is it the first time anyone's addressed you with that being the first line?
No, funnily enough, the Americans, for some reason on American websites, it puts it up first as my main achievement, which is quite funny. But anyway, yeah.
Very good. Well, good to have you with us.
Delighted to be here.
Great. So the way we like to kick all of our podcasts off is with a drink. So I'm going to ask you, what's that you're drinking?
Well, you've given me some ginger beer, so I'm drinking ginger beer.
Very nice.
I don't quite know why, coming here to talk about shooting, you think the drink is the first thing to start with, but I'm interested to find out.
Well, it started off because the podcast's intent is to capture the spirit that you get in the pub after a day's shooting. And we felt that a drink was quite a good way to set the tone. And initially, when we started, we were trying to bring along drinks that had some relevance to shooting for each of us. After about 6 episodes, we ran out of ideas along those lines. So we do say to our guests, try to bring something along that has a significance and a connection to shooting for you. We've given up on that. We just bring along drinks that we like now.
I've got a question for you, though. For you, is your favourite night the night before or the night after a day shooting?
The night before. Yeah. I mean, I love the sort of dinner. It's lovely if you meet, if you're staying with someone or whatever, and you happen to meet the guns the night before and get, you know, either you see old friends or new acquaintances. And I think there's a lovely sort of buzz the night before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the reason I'm amused about drink is the moment you said about, you know, we're going to start off with a drink, one thinks of, you know, the sort of mid-morning break. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And actually, I have a complete aversion. I mean, I love a 10-minute stop max for a glass of sloe gin or a glass of bullshot. But to me, you've come to shoot. And what really annoys me, to be honest, is when you go on some shoots and you have an hour of chatting, in the middle of the day, and it's perfectly obvious that they're just trying to miss a drive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
And therefore, instead of having, if you come and shoot at Arundel in our reared shoot in the park, you always have 6 drives. And people say you can't get 6 drives done. Bullshit. You can easily get it done. But we would only have a 10-minute drink max, not an hour.
Do you like to stop for lunch in the middle, or do you like to shoot through?
I love stopping for lunch. I hate shooting through. And to me, the best drives of the day have got to be the afternoon. And if you come and shoot at Arundel in the park, I hope you would agree that the best is after lunch. Rather like a sort of West End play.
Yeah.
You've got to have a crescendo
Finish
at the
strong.
end.
Yeah.
Some shoots you go to and the best drive is the first.
Yeah.
And then it's rather disappointing. It's very important how people think of the day when they're leaving.
Yeah.
There's
an absolute art in this. This gets spoken about behind the scenes a lot, but you're absolutely right. The West End play does it like that for a reason.
Yeah, for a reason. Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah. 6 drives in a day is good.
It always used to be, honestly, in my youth, 6 drives was normal. But more and more people think they can't get it in, which is completely ridiculous to me, because of course you can get it in.
Yeah.
If you just have to crack on.
Yeah.
It depends on the size of the drive as well, because when we shoot at home, if we shoot 80, we've had a good day.
Yeah.
But we do 3 drives, then we stop for probably 45 minutes of gassing.
Right.
And it's quite a big, hefty, quite a lot of food.
Yeah.
Then we do another 3. Then we go back to my brother's house and have probably an hour of gassing and then sit down to eat.
Right.
Which is quite a nice way
It's
of
at this
doing
point
it,
that in that 11s, George usually has some sort of open fire pit with something that he's got prepared, and that's basically the reason you're out.
Yeah,
the shooting is a byproduct of showing off his culinary skills.
100% correct. Good. Chris, what are you drinking?
So I went to our local shop near the office, which actually delivers. It comes up trumps most times.
Because you'd like to find something weird.
I just try not to have the same thing, as you know.
Yeah.
Whereas you've drunk the same thing for years. So I found today an old Empire IPA, a Marston's beer. What I didn't spot when I picked it up was that it's 5.7%. So apologies to you guys. But it's actually really lovely. It doesn't taste like a sort of overly strong IPA.
Okay.
But it is quite dark, as you can see.
It is very dark.
But it's lovely. So, and how about you? I'm sensing you've gone safe.
Well, yes. I'm just coming off the back end of a cold, actually. So this is partly medicinal. I've got something that I've had on the podcast before. It's an independent bottling of Glenrothes whiskey, Gordon MacPhail. And there's not much more to say about it that I haven't said on the podcast before, except my excuse this time is I'm not feeling brilliant.
And this actually helps your throat.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very good. Well, for a podcast, that's important. So well
it is, yes. Good. Okay. The next segment of our podcast is called Whose Bird Is It Anyway? And this is where we ask our listeners to write in with their shooting quandaries and queries and dilemmas, and we do our level best to offer some advice, hopefully sensible, no guarantees. And we always keep our correspondence anonymous. And our first submission comes from someone I'm calling Marty, who writes, I am writing to you from the past. It's currently the 23rd of April, 2024, and you're discussing the endless possibilities of cooking with fire with Kai ap Bryn. I'm slowly playing catch-up on each episode while driving in the car or on the tractor. I'm interested in your thoughts on the following situation. I was chatting to a friend of mine via WhatsApp about a new port that I'd been drinking and recommended that he purchase a few bottles when he asked me if I was available to join him on a day the following week, as there were a few spare pegs. This was on a well-known shoot that I had on my list and at a reasonable price, so I reported directly to head office to see if she had any reason why I couldn't go. The day started off with a monster of a drive. The guns around me shot well, and they were selective. The second drive I had a few low birds over me, but not the best peg, but I could see good birds flying over the guns further down the hill. The following drive didn't go as well as it could have, as for one reason or another the pheasant and partridge were turning back up the woodland and not over the main line of guns. The last 2 guns did see some birds, but that's shooting, and I was still smiling from the first drive. We stopped for lunch and were fed a game banquet. The food was amazing and plentiful, and you couldn't have asked for better hospitality. With tummies full, we headed off to the last drive, which went okay, but also had a similar issue as the third drive in that some of the birds were turning back, although we all had some shooting. I walked over to my friend and asked how he'd got on. He told me that the day had gone well, but he wasn't overly happy as one of the guys a couple of pegs up from him was double gunning, which he thought was akin to having 3 barrels. So the possibly long-winded question I ask is, when is double gunning acceptable?
So can I clarify for everyone's benefit, this wasn't a double gun day and one of them was?
It sounds like it, yes.
Oh dear. Your Grace.
Listen, you must call me Eddie.
Eddie.
You really must call me Eddie.
Fire away.
Listen,
Go from the hip on this one.
Listen, I think that, it is polite if you're told at the beginning of the day whether you're double gunning or not. And I don't think you should start double gunning in the middle of the day when it clearly isn't double guns, particularly if you're the only person.
Yeah.
And some people do that, but I don't think you should do that. I really don't.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I was trying to think of a reason where it might even be worse, but I can't. If you're the guest on the day, awful. If you're a paying gun on the day, awful.
And if you're the owner, even worse.
I was going to say.
And if you didn't pay for the day and you weren't even a guest.
Yeah. I mean, some
just turned
owners, I've seen some owners put themselves in the best position.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is appalling and, to be frowned on. It's obvious what they're doing.
There was a guy who years ago, we had a call into the office who said, so I turned up on a shoot and all very well, it was me and my mates, our roving syndicate. And the owner stood and backed gunned behind the middle of the drive all day on a let day that he had sold and cleaned up everything. And I couldn't quite believe what I was hearing. Obviously, we did something about this in terms of this shoot being on the website. Yeah, quite ridiculous.
It's unbelievable. I'm quite surprised that it got to the end of the day with nobody having said anything.
He'd done it all day.
Well, it sounds like it. Don't you think?
Yeah,
or do you think all of this preamble about which drives went well is possibly the rationale that this guy was using for double gunning on the last drive, which I didn't get much shooting all day.
I don't think it changes the point.
No, it doesn't. But I was trying to work out what all the story ahead of it was about, and perhaps that is exactly what happened.
Maybe he wanted to let us know what a lovely day he had out loud on the podcast, in which case, congratulations, you got that in there. But
yeah,
the point.
Double gunning, though, is an interesting one. I mean, I have never double gunned.
Have you not?
No. Don't shoot on big enough days. And I've got my silly monkey loader thing, which is supposed to make you load faster, but it doesn't.
No.
And I don't. I've never felt.
Have you seen these monkey loaders?
I think I know what you mean.
Yeah.
The thing that
I've never been on a day where I've felt, oh gosh, I wish I could have got off 33% more cartridges than I otherwise would have done.
So before I ask Eddie on this one, I have to slightly admit I'm slightly outspoken at times on various aspects of double gunning, but because I've changed my tune on it over the years. Except the other day, I was on a lovely day in Devon on quite a big day. And we were double gunning, and obviously I loved it. And it was one of those things where one of the lads who listens to the podcast came up at the end and was like, I swear you said you wouldn't double gun on pheasant days anymore. And I was like, yeah, sorry about that one.
Yes, I think I can understand it with grouse shooting, for example.
Wild stuff, totally.
Yeah.
I've changed my tune over the last few years on pheasants. What do you think?
I think that as long as, I agree with you, partridges, grey partridges, wild, grouse.
You have to.
If it's October and you're worried about disease, and a big pack come over, it's all part of the fun.
Yeah.
I think with pheasants, my rule is as long as the pheasants are flying well enough, then I feel very happy doing it if I'm invited to. What I don't like doing is if it's a bit of a slaughter.
Yeah.
Then I feel very uncomfortable. But if the pheasants are flying, at home we only ever double gun with pheasants in January, the end of the season when everything is top quality.
Yeah.
But it's like everything in shooting. The enjoyment of a shooting day isn't linked to the bag necessarily, or it's linked to all sorts of things. But one great thing about double gunning is you can sort of focus on the birds. And, if you've got a good loader, there's a gun in your hand immediately. Yeah. And you can sort of get into a rhythm. Also, the enormous the enormous enjoyment of your loader. You can hear his background, his life story, and his tales during the day. It can be a great fun experience.
Yeah, I'm with you actually. And actually on some days, the added advantage of a loader recently is, right, hold that gun for a second. I've got to get the dog off because everything's been cleaned up behind me. She's going to have nothing to pick up. And it was one of those moments where I was like, I'm so appreciative for having him here so that I can just get on. And because I find, I've said this a few times on the pod, but and I had to just, my dog, she got attacked on a day just over a year ago and has literally not been the same for a while. Like the last day of the season, she was on fire and got her mojo back. And it was that day when I had, when we were double gunning. And it was just one of those things where I was like, right, the drive is like halfway through when it finishes because I've got the picking up to do. And I was so excited for her because she was back on it. So yeah, another reason for a loader.
Very nice.
If you get a good one, if you find yourself with a loader who does like to chat and you might be a little bit hungover.
I think that there's something very beautiful about watching a practiced duo, gun and loader, double gunning. I think it's a very beautiful sort of ballet, isn't it? Can you think of any examples where having one member of the team double gunning would make sense?
No.
Nor can I. I was trying to I thought maybe you might have an idea.
I've got one. If you are asked to stand behind the line and only shoot wounded birds, you could justify as a job.
Okay.
I'm really stretching it because you put me on the spot. Being asked to stand behind the line and shoot only what's been hit is a fun gig to get.
So I think we're all agreed, though, that Marty's friend was right to be miffed that this chap was double gunning.
But we want to know more on why it waited till the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly that. Good. Okay, right, on to the next one then. This one coming from somebody I'm calling Cerberus. Hi, guys. I've been an avid listener to your pod, especially as a way to keep an interest in the sport and countryside since letting my shotgun license lapse, with everything else taking a priority: kids, house move, life in general. After years have passed, I've managed to find an opening back into my passion, license obtained, started beating again, and started gun dog training with my first proper dog, a fox red Labrador called Goose. Although I've got a long way to go, but enjoying the challenge, and a challenge he is. This leads me to my first question. He's coming up to 2 now, and I'm still working on lessons fortnightly and can see some progression, but I often end up deflated, as the first 15 minutes can be great, but the second 15 minutes I might as well be talking to a brick wall. Would sending him for a board and train be a solution? Is this typically seen as a failure and doing a disservice for him and myself? I worry that I'd also end up spending a lot of money to have a dog that comes back and starts to fall into his bad habits, as I'm sure I need to learn too.
Have we ever been asked in-depth dog training questions on this before?
No, because we're wildly underqualified.
Right, Eddie. You must have.
Listen, I'm not... I do have a wonderful Labrador called Desmond. My children gave him to me as a puppy and then said he's got to be called Desmond. I said, why Desmond? They said, because that's, Dad, the worst name we can think of. And I was telling this story, actually, in August to a Yorkshire keeper, and he said at the end of it, well, I'm called Desmond, which, of course, made us all laugh. But listen, I'm not particularly good with dogs. But the important thing with a dog is to enjoy it, isn't it? And not think your dog has to be a field trial champion or whatever, but just enjoy it with Desmond.
Yeah.
And look, dogs also learn, don't they? They're like us humans, a young dog is not going to be as good as that dog will be 5 years later.
Yeah.
So I think, persevere. But the only thing I would say about trainers, some trainers can treat dogs really rather badly and your dog comes back a nervous wreck.
Yeah.
So I'd watch out for that.
How did you go about training Cora? All yourself?
This isn't a product plug, but Ben Randall's Gundog app, he launched at the time that I got Cora. I think I was on like the test version of this thing. So I did it all train. Do you know what? I got asked this yesterday, weirdly, by someone who walks dogs with us at home. So I was training at home using this app, and you go through these sequences and you sort of like week by week, you do a little thing and you follow the progression. It just reminds you what to do. And it was really effective. Now, the thing is, I was dealing with a Labrador that had incredible pedigree. She was just waiting to be a pretty decent dog.
Yeah.
I wasn't dealing with something that was going to be a nightmare from day one. And I think that there's something in that, because I reckon, and I'm absolutely no dog trainer, but I reckon the ones that you've seen run in, right? And your friends' dogs that come to mind that you think need 2 corkscrews, you could probably tell at an early age that they were going to be like that. And it might not be just the dog, the environment around them, the chance of them maintaining any sort of sense of, being a trained dog, kids, wife, whatever it might be. In my case, follow the sort of, when we feed Cora, we'll do it. We'll keep following a little exercise each day. Whereas if all that goes to pot after you've done your hard work, then obviously you're going to be struggling anyway. But family dogs sent for a board and train work brilliantly.
Interesting. I think the point about the handler needing training is a point that there's a lady, Annie, who has a gun dog training school on the farm. And she has always said that the puppy classes are mainly about training the owners. and I think the family dog situation is really tough, because you've got to make sure that everybody in the family is following the same routines, the same commands, that everything's consistent, because otherwise they do just get confused.
Yeah, I really panicked about this at the start, and having only done this once with our own dog before, it was always family dogs. It's very different, obviously, than a family dog where, ultimately Dad was in charge. But I think with this person here, they sound like they've got all of the basics in place where there's not going to be a concern. He's already training the dog. Dog seems to listen a fair bit, but it's young and it's getting bored. That's normal. That is really normal. I remember Ben saying to me, like, don't do more than X retrieves each time. It just won't work. You'll end up putting it off.
They get bored.
Yeah. And like you were saying, that dog will get better as long as it's got the basics. It's like riding a bike. Like, it will be fine.
Yeah.
And is board and train typically seen as a failure? I wouldn't have said so.
No, it depends entirely on your life.
Yeah.
Like, if you're working 5 days a week in London, you've got no choice.
Also true. But I think it depends on what you want. What is it that you want to get out of the dog as well, right? So I'm very clear that I wouldn't do that, but that's because I would see the training process as being core to my enjoyment of the day out in the field beforehand. Subsequently.
Yeah.
And if it was just a sort of plug and play situation, I wouldn't have derived quite so much joy either out of the training process, which in itself will be fun, if frustrating, and then subsequently the successful days out in the field will be even better as a result of that.
Did you train Desmond?
Do you know, I have not done much training with Desmond. That's the trouble.
But is he all right?
And listen, he's okay. He's very enthusiastic. His real trick is to bring back 2 pheasants at once.
Okay.
Well,
he has to get one, then he has to go and find another, and then he has to come and get the first one. And look, he's a sweet dog, but he's not a good dog. He's pretty wild. You know? But again, I mean, the most boring dogs to have are dogs who sit at your peg, and then at the end of the drive, they don't go and do anything. They just sit around. You know what I mean?
You want some character.
Desmond is the opposite, But anyway,
he sounds like my sort of a dog. I mean, I've
said a bit like you.
Yeah, I've said on this podcast before that I like there being mildly unruly dogs on a shoot day. I don't want them all to be perfect. No. They bring so much more humour to a day.
I'm kind of with you on that.
As long as it's not my dog that's unruly, it's somebody else's.
I think like running in is, as long as it's not running in, like, fine.
As long as it's not doing the next drive.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Like, then crack on,
Yeah.
Yeah. And if it doesn't pick anything up, you're running around doing it. So,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Okay. So I've got another question. I don't think it's really a dilemma. It comes from an existing member of the Most Noble Order of the Garters, called Gordon, who says, does working in shooting dilute your enjoyment of it? Does the dream job on paper slowly morph into a chore? Does it take the shine off your own days in the field? Are there still days in the field at all? Or is the reality far more mundane than many of us romantics imagine? I would welcome all opinions, Perhaps I'm just dreaming of the perfect job, or maybe in a glass half full world, it might exist. Any conversation around this would help me personally, but I also think it would scratch an itch shared by a good chunk of your audience.
That's a fascinating question. And you and I work in shooting, essentially.
Yep.
Well, always did. Obviously, we're a bit more on Scribehand now, but yeah, we work in shooting. There's an argument to say that with all of the work that you do on the conservation side, you're so closely attached to all of it that then having the shoot and being so closely involved with shooting that I think this same rule applies to you in the question about what he's getting at here.
I mean, I think what possibly that question is about is from the shooter's point of view, this person enjoys the day's shooting and is looking at it from, I could be on that shoot. And if I had to work all year, does it make the enjoyment of that day's shooting less? But I think that's looking at it the wrong way, because keepers don't do their profession just in the hope of 10 days shooting or 5 days shooting. They do their profession because they love the whole year. They love being out with nature. They are countrymen. They don't want to have a desk job. They want to have, that the enjoyment to them is not just the shooting days. The enjoyment to them is a day in April, May, March, September. It's the whole package. So I think that's where this questionnaire has got it slightly wrong.
I think when the first question I get asked when I arrive on a shoot and I don't know everyone there is, "Oh, you must shoot loads," and the answer is no, inevitably, because I have a mortgage and some children. But it's obviously the imagination, the dream that someone might have. What's your answer to this question?
Okay, so as a result of working in the shooting world, I do shoot now more frequently than I did before.
Okay.
That's a good probably thing. By quite a long way. Has it reduced my enjoyment? No, I don't think it has diluted my enjoyment of it at all. If anything, I would say it has enhanced my enjoyment of it. With a couple of caveats, which is that where there used to be frustrations about certain aspects of the way the shooting world operates, those have been amplified because I now know more of the politics and stuff behind it. So there's aspects of shooting that annoy me more than they used to. That sort of thing. Yeah. But working shooting has allowed me to shoot more frequently. And I have made lots of excellent friends as a result of that, and had some fantastic times. So, but yes, like you, everybody always assumes that because of the job that we do, we are out shooting a lot. And that is simply not true. We're basically desk jockeys. We do have laptop jobs.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Do you know what? I think this is the hardest question I've ever been asked, because I'm almost finding it emotional thinking about it, in the sense that I've been in this game now for 18 years, got into it because we were involved in a syndicate just by accident. The shoot needed to sell some days because it was hemorrhaging cash and couldn't be just continually loss making. The roof needed doing on the estate and it cost like £250,000 and the shoot was losing 40 grand a year. It wasn't a sustainable situation. At the time, great, we got to go and see the country, see all these different types of shoots. And we used to run this question in the census, in the game shooting census, which was how many different shoots do you visit a year? And the average was I think it was 3 or 4. And it shot up across everyone to 11, because Guns on Pegs and the internet and things did their job of getting people out and about and seeing the country. And I credit my sort of geography of the UK being down to shooting and going to watch Ipswich. And so I've seen all the towns and I've seen all the countryside. And so the enjoyment of shooting was amplified for a period as a result of working in the industry, yes. However, I'm going to sound like a real old man, because as
not unusual,
as a result of all those luxuries, I have really struggled in recent years with the shooting world. I have put my time onto the board of the Countryside Alliance, the British Game Assurance, the Country Food Trust, And we've dedicated Guns on Pegs' vision and mission to be about best practice and net biodiversity gain on shooting. And that's because a lot of what I've seen, I'm really, really nervous about. And I am worried about sustainability aspect of it, and I'm worried about people in it just to make money. And I don't think there's enough good eggs in the industry. And I think that as a result of my shooting at the moment, I kind of only enjoy my days with my close mates.
Very interesting. I can see how you could arrive at that position. And I was, around at Guns on Pegs when you were particularly frustrated about some of the sort of internal machinations of some of the frustrations of, the fact that the BGA was a busted flush.
I gave so much time to try and make that work.
It's so frustrating.
And so much effort and a number of phone calls and then to be met with like, oh no, it's not really what we want to do. And you're like, oh God, no, you don't understand the pressure here. And obviously at the end of the day, it's not that I'm trying to make money out of it per se. I've put 18 years of life into it. I don't, this is a legacy point. This is more about like, we had a chance.
Can I counter your point though?
Yeah.
And maybe this will give you something to hold on to. For me, it's stories like the one we're going to talk about in the next episode at Peppering. The work of the GWCT, when you do meet the good eggs, that's what gives me the greatest pleasure now. When you go on a shoot and they are excited to show you not how high their pheasants are, not how fancy their champagne is, not how big the house is, none of those things. What they're excited to show you is we've just planted a new wood here. We've just dug a new pond there. Check out our duck tubes.
Yeah.
That stuff.
I couldn't agree
that's what gets me excited now. And I think there's a growing number of those people. And I think that in the last 5 years, I've seen a change in what people are talking about.
Really agree with what you're saying there. And I think that actually is happening. I think culturally we need to go through a big change in the shooting world. And it is stepping in the right direction. I think partly through us talking about it and things like this. And I couldn't agree more. When I turn up to a shoot and they are so excited to show me what they've done there and share their passion, that carries so much weight. And I think that the more of that will affect the culture of how other people see it.
Completely agree. You, I would imagine, shoot all over the country in lots of different places. What's the chatter amongst the people you shoot with about on the are people interested in your conservation efforts, for example?
Completely. I mean, I don't shoot as much as you might think I do, George, because I have a pretty busy life.
But yes.
And actually, I love my days in the office, actually. I have a very interesting business life still. And I'm on the board of 7 or 8 small companies. I love young people. So I don't shoot that much. I mean, I shoot at home a lot. I love shooting wild. And I shoot with friends, but I don't any longer shoot. I never go on a shoot where I don't know people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and then when I do have a day shooting, it's really special. It's a special day because, sorry, your question was, I think, about...
Well, are people interested in the conservation side of it as much as they are?
More interested as well. Are you finding that that's sort of getting more...
No, definitely. And listen, unless that comes to the fore more, we're going to lose our sport. I mean, we've got to get our act together, and we've got to make sure that we are linking into nature's revival. And every shoot can be good for the environment, can be good for a species recovery. You can find something on your estate which you can do well. And we've got to do that, because unless governments see that we are positive for nature, unless the word shooting estate is synonymous with nature's revival in 5-10 years' time, we're going to lose our sport. I've absolutely no doubt about that. And I'm very, very worried about that. And I've spoken to government ministers about that. We've got to get our act together.
Couldn't agree more.
I think the important point is what obviously I deliver a fairly sort of tough picture from the way I see it, but that's mainly just because of just being too close to it for too long, I think. But there is the great heart in what you say, and both of you.
And your point about every shoot day being special, the moment that they're not, that's when you should do what somebody else did earlier, give up your shotgun certificate, sell the guns, take up golf.
Yep.
If they're not special anymore,
Yep.
then we should all just be doing it.
Yeah. Be selective. That's why I shoot so little.
Right. Yeah, moving on, Chris. Over to you.
Last bit of correspondence. We got an unpopular opinion from someone we shall call Coco, who writes, long-time listener, first-time writer here. I have an unpopular opinion, and to be honest, I just can't keep my trap shut any longer. I am lucky enough to be a regular guest, beater, mince pie maker, occasional shot on my husband's syndicate. I'm unmeasurably grateful as some of our best family memories are made on the shoot, as my boys, an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old, love to get involved too. However, I have become increasingly disturbed by the number of shoot members who adhere to all traditional shoot etiquette, but insist on stuffing trousers into their shooting socks. This includes some of the big dogs who insist on only shooting side-by-sides purely based on tradition and country sport etiquette, whether they can actually connect with birds or not. As true country sportsmen yourselves, who clearly know a thing or two about garters, I have no doubt you agree with me that they just look bloody ridiculous, fat cankles, unable to hitch trousers up, climbing over fences and builders' bums in full show when they bend down to rearrange their uncomfortably stuffed trouser legs. You have already reported on the benefits of breeks yourselves, and I wholeheartedly support you on this. I only ask that you please put an absolute condition on handing out garters that they're only to be worn with breeks and no more sock stuffing allowed. As holders of the garters, I would like to hear your thoughts on the subject. Personally, I feel that shooting socks should be worn with pride and garters on display with no additional stuffing to ruin the great British countryman's silhouette.
Crikey.
So,
I mean, forthright.
Yeah, great. It took me a while, but stuffing actual trousers into shooting socks?
I mean, it strikes me as madness, but...
is that, just to confirm, that's what you interpreted?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. They're not talking about wearing breeks. They're not talking about whether your socks should go over the top of your breeks or not.
Yeah, that's where I first was like, okay, is this like how you wear them? No. It's stuffing trousers into shooting socks.
Yes.
You seen this?
No.
Have you seen this?
I haven't seen it. It wouldn't worry me, this. It simply wouldn't worry me for a second. But that's just how I
You
would
wouldn't feel the need to message pod@gunsonpegs.com and then...
Definitely not. Listen, I mean, funny enough, I immediately think of when one was young, when one was 10 and you're on your third day shooting ever.
In your rat catchers,
and you're maybe trying to look like Uncle Michael, who's got his +4s on. Do you know what I mean? So you put the...
and that's different. Yeah.
I mean, that's, but listen, I don't think we should be worrying about this, personally.
I've never seen it. I mean, I love it. We've been asked for opinion on something, so I'll give it.
Go on.
I mean, yeah, absolutely don't do it. Like, you shouldn't wear garters with trousers.
The bit that's confusing, and I completely agree, like, it doesn't matter really what you wear. And we've spoken before about this idea of wearing a tie to respect the quarry. The quarry doesn't care whether you're wearing a tie or not. I think there's an element of sort of nonsense about all of that. And a lot of the etiquette is exclusionary and stuff. I don't love all of it. But if you're wearing trousers, why are you wearing the long socks? That's the bit that doesn't make sense. Just wear trousers and wellies. It's fine. You don't need the longs. Why stuff the socks in the trousers? That makes no sense. It just seems illogical.
These are the so-called big dogs of their shooting syndicate. What I'm quite surprised by is in your journey in your sort of shooting hobby life, breeks are quite near the start of that, aren't they? Like, I'm quite surprised that sort of, even potentially getting as far as purchasing garters.
You mean you're probably buying... Are you buying a shotgun first or breeks first?
Gun. Okay. Yeah, 100%. Sorry, I just think...
It's a big pause, a menacing outlay.
But also, you're buying socks and breeks at the same time.
Yes.
Anyway.
It's very odd. It just doesn't seem to make an awful lot of sense. But
she was asked... So you were saying that, is it an unpopular opinion that you completely disagree with this? I mean, I don't think it's unpopular. I don't even find many people that think we should all start stuffing our trousers into our socks.
I mean, arguably, the reason breeks exist is because tucking your socks into your trousers is extremely uncomfortable. So it does seem to, it just doesn't make any... I can't understand the logic behind it.
I need photos because it's going to look like a bag of spanners, isn't it?
But I don't care. Like, if you want to do it, that's your lookout.
Yeah, no, but if you want to do it, just wear trousers.
Yeah.
I don't understand the stuffing socks. Right. We're done.
So we're going to take a vote on that. Is it an unpopular opinion to say that it's wrong? Do you think that they're wrong to?
No, it's not wrong. It really wouldn't worry me.
Yeah,
Full stop.
I agree. It's bonkers, but I don't care.
Well, on the basis we can't be completely on the fence, I'll just say don't do it. It's wrong then.
Okay. Okay, good. Right. So Cerberus, Marty, Coco, and now you, Eddie, are the newest members of the most noble order of the Garters and will shortly be in receipt of a pair of the very exclusive Guns on Pegs podcast shooting sock garters. And they can all claim a free year of Guns on Pegs Premium and access to the Order of the Garters WhatsApp community. If you too have a shooting confession, quandary, or query you'd like us and our guests to help you with, or if you'd like to share an unpopular opinion, or if you have a podcast suggestion or a forgotten drive that you would like to share, and you would like a set of garters, drop us an email to pod@gunsonpegs.com. That's it for this episode. Next week, we will be talking to Eddie about grey partridges, curlews, and the wider impact of the amazing work going on at Peppering. But until then, thanks very much for listening, and goodbye.
Wow.